This is the Map and Compass course for the California State Militia. The course is designed to be completed in a series of modules and will be taken in specific order as each module builds upon the previous one. There are maps and work pages needed for some of the modules that can be downloaded from the CSM El Toro webpage to be used in conjunction with the lesson. At the beginning of each module, you will be instructed which file or files, if any, you will need, as well as other materials. For the entire course, you will need a compass, map protractor, 1 to 24,000 map ruler, 12-inch ruler, and pencil. If you need to obtain these materials, you can get them on Amazon, REI, maptools.com, or other stores that sell these products. The course is broken into 4 modules. In the first module, you will look at the types of compass on the market as well as its components. The second module will look at map components and where to get maps. The third module will look at map grids and coordinates. This will include longitude and latitude, as well as the UTM and military grid systems, and how to determine a coordinate and how to plot on a map. Finally, in the fourth module, how to orient and integrate the map and compass in the field, as well as navigation techniques are covered. For this module, you will need your compass. A base plate compass is recommended as your primary compass. Suunto or Silver are the better brands, with the Ranger model as ideal. A lensatic compass is also recommended. Various models for each of these types are sold and costs vary. Expect to spend about $50 for the base plate and $60 for the lensatic. It is not recommended to buy a cheap one, as your life may depend on this device one day. A GPS can be used, but it is not recommended at this time. As this is the first module, we will look at the various types of compasses and their components. It will familiarize you with the components. Procedures to use them will be discussed in other modules. A thumb compass is a small compass that, as the name implies, goes on your thumb. It is mainly used in orienteering competition. While it is a good compass to use when you are going quickly from one place to another in a race course format, it is not the best choice to use when on patrol or other CSM activities. The GPS is a great device for navigation and other map compass activities. On the pro side, it is highly accurate and easy to use. Your position can be located to within ±5 feet. You don't need to compute data, as it will do it for you. It can store information like tracking the path you have taken, mark points on a map, calculate the distance you have traveled, and many other features too numerous to talk about here. You can also download maps of the area you are going into with pre-plotted information you entered on the computer program. Then when you return, you can upload the new information from the field. Maps can be imported to the device and is extremely useful in low light conditions. The cons of using a GPS are it consumes batteries. To leave it on, you'll have about 8 to 10 hours of continuous use before you need to put in new ones. You can turn it on off as needed, but if you're using it to navigate, you'll probably have to leave it on. The one good point is that the data is not lost when you swap out the batteries. When using a GPS, you must be able to see a large portion of the sky. A canopy of trees can interrupt service, as well as being in a canyon or inside a building. Not to mention that if there is an electromagnetic pulse or the satellites are shut down, you will not be able to use this device. Another con is the screen is small. While you can zoom in and out of an area, you can only view a small area at a time that has good detail. You will also need a computer to upload or change maps if you move to another location or the operational area extends beyond what you uploaded to the GPS. The one final con is OPSEC. If your device falls into the hands of someone you don't want it to, they can track all your movements. Let's look at the base plate compass in greater detail, as it is the one that is recommended to have. A base plate compass is a compass that has a base upon which the compass parts are placed on. The various models will have different features or display them in a different manner, and some may omit a certain feature. However, they will all have the basic details. Let's take a closer look at these. The base is a hard, flat, clear plastic surface on which the rest of the compass is mounted. The compass you use should have at least one edge that is straight, as this is used to lay lines on the map. Each edge of the compass will have a different ruler and scale that is used with the map to measure distance. Use the edge that corresponds to the map scale or measurement you are taking. There is an arrow, sometimes two, marked on the base plate. It is called a directional arrow. As its name implies, its purpose is to point the compass in the direction you want to travel towards, or the direction you are pointing the compass at to take a reading. The index line is a line that travels from the directional arrow back toward the compass housing. Where this line intersects with the housing is where the compass is read in degrees. Not all compasses will have this line. Instead, they may have a small triangle or some other marker on the base plate right next to the housing that shows where to read the degrees of the heading. The housing is the main part of the compass. It is a round plastic container that is filled with a liquid and has the compass needle inside of it. Around the housing is a bezeled ring or dial that has the 360 degrees of the compass on it that rotates. Each line on the dial represents 2 degrees on the compass. The dial is turned in order to orient the compass with the map or index the degrees to obtain the correct heading for travel. How to do this will be a topic in a future lesson. For successful travel with map and compass, they have to be synchronized. To do this, the orienting lines are used. They are marked on the floor of the housing. Procedures to do this will be covered later. Also marked on the floor of the housing is the orienting arrow. It rotates along with the orienting lines when you turn the housing so you know which way to align the compass with the map. Like the orienting lines, the procedure to use this will be discussed in a later module. Another component within the housing is the compass needle. This is a magnetized piece of metal that points northward towards the magnetic North Pole, not the North Pole, as this is often confused. Some compasses will have a declination scale. It is either located on the floor of the housing or it's sometimes placed on the dial below the degrees. It is used to adjust the compass to coincide with magnetic north heading. It is not recommended to use this for reasons that will be discussed later. Some compasses will have a pair of lines on the housing that parallel the 0-degree mark on the housing bezel. It is called the doghouse. When traveling or marking a heading, the housing is rotated so the magnetic north needle sits in between the marks. A small magnifying lens is a great addition to some compasses as it comes in handy from time to time to read small details on a map. When you are holding a compass to take a reading, it's important that you hold it level. This will allow the magnetic needle to spin freely. Otherwise, it can hang up on the housing and give a false reading. To aid in this, some will be equipped with a bubble of air inside the housing. If you are holding it level, the bubble will be directly over the center point. The bubble in this picture shows that you are slightly off. The Ranger-style base plate compass comes with a cover plate that closes over the housing and protects it. It also has a mirror and a sighting line that aids in determining or marking a heading. This type of base plate compass has the sum of the features we'll be looking at in the next type of compass called a lensatic. The lensatic or prismatic compass is an excellent compass for taking headings or sighting places in the field. Let's look at some of the different features it has. Some of the parts are illuminated to aid in night navigation. In addition to the actual compass, the top and bottom of the sighting line are illuminated so you can attain a fix on the mark you want to navigate towards in low light conditions. There is a thin wire called a sighting line. This is similar to the line on the mirror of the Ranger style base plate compass. It helps you aim your compass at a distant object. It also has a thumb ring or loop. It has two functions. One is to hold the compass closed when not in use. The other is for your thumb to go through to hold the compass near your eye when taking a reading. There is also a sighting slot. This slot is what your eye looks through when you are lining up the sight line and a distant object, so all three components are in sync. The final different component is the lens sight, where the compass gets its name from. Once you have lined up your object, you look down through this lens and read the compass heading. On the downside, the lensatic compass does not have the orienting line or arrow on the compass to aid in plotting on a map. While it is possible to do it, albeit more difficult, this type of compass is not the best choice for integrating or plotting on a map. Okay, so now that we have covered the parts of the compass, which one do I get? There is a wristband model that is on the market that will do much of what we talked about. However, it costs about $1,000. The GPS will run about $350 and an additional $100 for the maps. The base plate will average about $50 with a range of $35 to $80. The Ranger style is about $90. The lensatic compasses run from $45 to $70. This completes the section on the compass, so let's review. The base plate is the base of the compass where all the other components are placed on. The scales and rulers are located on the straight edges of the compass. The directional arrow is used to point the compass in the direction you want to travel or take a reading. The index line or point is where you read the degrees on the housing. The orienting lines are also used to align the compass with the map. The orienting arrow is used in conjunction with the orienting lines when aligning the compass with the map. The bezel is a rotating dial where the degrees of the compass are located. The lensatic compass has a thumb ring that you place your thumb through and hold the compass up to your eye. The sight slot is what you look through to line up the sighting line at a distant object. After lining these up, you look down through the lens sight to read the compass. This concludes the first module.